What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Kostiw, and tonight I've got a great episode in store for you. It's been a while since I've been on air. Kind of dealt with a lot last week with the radio station. I'll explain a little bit about that in just a second, but we have got a boatload of stuff to talk about. I mean, from the Boston Bruins, potentially magical season ending early to the Celtics as they head into game 2 against the 76ers. We'll discuss that. And so much more. But first, I want to welcome back on a guest of the show. He's been on this show many times before. He's a friend of my brother's, a friend of mine. He's currently wrapping up his first year at Sacred Heart University. Please welcome back to the show, Briant Johnson. Briant, welcome back.
How we doing? I'm so glad to be back on this podcast.
Dude, I'm glad to have you back. I mean, I talked with you a little bit beforehand. How was your first year at Sacred Heart? You enjoy it?
Yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of sleeping, a lot of books, you know how it is.
Yeah, that sounds like you, Briant. Big bookworm guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally
I
nothing.
am, bro. Me.
No, I know.
Nope,
What are you majoring again down there? You're actually like really in it.
I'm a chemistry major with pre-med, so
okay, yeah. So you actually do have to grind it out. Like you really do have to kind of be in those books.
Yeah, I had 38 credits this year, so
Christ.
I've been in the books.
That work your work-life balance, man, needs a little bit of work. But I mean, I appreciate the grind. That's crazy though. But yeah, this is my first show in like a week or so. I did 2 shows the previous week. I had a sports talk segment and then an interview with Bryant basketball player Miles Latimer. But on my end, I was busy planning out the WJMF spring concert, Spring Sock. It was a 2-day event. The first day went awesome. Had a bunch of student artists perform. Had the jazz band play. Had another student artist, Billy Bridges. He took the stage. And then the second day was crazy too. We had an alumni DJ from the class of 1998, DJ Bishop. Always shout out to him. He's great for what he's done for the station. So thank him. I'm thankful that he came back to the school. And then we had 2 great bands as well. We had Overserved Again, which is a band that is a part of Sigma Chi. There are a bunch of alums from them. And then Picture Us Tiny came down from Syracuse. It was a great overall weekend. I was really happy with it. Shout out to Sigma Chi. They did a great job with it. I'm not a part of the Greek Life fraternity, but they allowed us to partner with them for that weekend. And they did a great job for Derby Days. Crushed their $120,000 goal, raised over $150,000. So they did tremendous work over this weekend, going towards cancer research. So really proud of those guys, really happy for them. But Briant, let's jump into the sports news. The first topic we're going to start with is kind of some off the field situation, and it actually doesn't even involve an athlete in a professional American sport. It involves the brother of one athlete. And that one athlete is Patrick Mahomes and his younger brother, Jackson. Earlier today, Jackson was arrested on charges of sexual battery after he was seen on video this past February, kind of just like making very like inappropriate remarks and made very odd advances towards this woman in a nightclub. So Jackson's been known for doing a lot of kind of weird off the field things in terms of like his TikToks, but was kind of always just known as like this kind of cringy personality. Never something this serious, but now being arrested on these charges. Briant, what are your thoughts on this? Because I'm really just blown away with how this entire thing is developed.
Honestly, I thought it was like when I first heard about it, I thought it was kind of just like one of those clickbait sort of things, that you see on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, I'm kind of baffled because I think that video came out a long time ago. So I'm kind of surprised that like just now that the charges are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, it's something serious.
No, it's definitely serious. I'm surprised that it did take that long. You have a good point with that, but I mean, that kind of stuff happens. I mean, I'm not totally surprised by it because like, the Justice Department and everyone who handles that case, they do need to like get the proper like charges, get everything filed, and then they go forward and they kind of deal with all that. But yeah, I like how you said, you kind of just thought it was kind of like a kind of just like a up in the air kind of like meme that was on Instagram. That's kind of what my original reaction was to it as well. Cause like, I mean, you see tons of those things where it's like, oh, they might say like, trying to think, like they'll say like Kermit the Frog has been arrested for like tax fraud or something like that. And it's like they make all these crazy accusations about like random celebrities, and it's like, oh, like yeah, whatever. And they make it as like a rap TV post, so everyone thinks it's legit at first. And yeah, that was my original thought with this too. And I was like, there's no way this would actually happen. And then it broke on on all the major sports platforms. And man, just what a time. What a time. That's insane.
Yeah, it's definitely been a whirlwind. But I think I saw it on like the NFL. Like, there's all sports news, which is real sports news, and they
Yes.
have the fake one that's spelt with like one different letter. I thought it was the one with the one different letter, but it was the real one. And then I was like, bro, I was like, I don't even know what to say at this point.
No, it's crazy. I mean, a lot of people have said that like the main reason that Patrick Mahomes gets a lot of hate is just because of the attention that his brother brings towards him online. Obviously, if you're a great quarterback like Pat Mahomes is, that's going to come with enough kind of controversy, hatred. If he beats your favorite team, you're going to have it out for the guy. But really outside of like that, like Patrick Mahomes as a player and a personality, not a ton of people have an issue with. It's his wife who people like who really get on, and then his brother.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like it really doesn't have to do with him at all.
I think it's just like trying to find a point to pick at him
Yeah.
because, obviously he's one of the best quarterbacks, the best quarterback right now. And they just got to find a way to get at him because they can't really do anything to him. Like he's a good person from what I can see. Obviously, I don't know him personally.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't really, he's the MVP and like all that kind of stuff. And then you got his brother who just leeches off of him. So everybody just attacks him and his wife for being a little touchy. You know what I mean?
I will say this though, like during like Mahomes' like first Super Bowl run where he went off and beat the 49ers, that's when like the Jackson Mahomes like that's like when he was like at his peak of like like in like annoyingness, like kind of like just arrogant, like arrogancy. That's when like Jackson Mahomes was at like the peak of that. I felt like this past season, I'll be honest, like I didn't notice like his presence as much on TikTok or across platforms. Maybe it's because I don't follow the kid, so I wouldn't notice. But like I didn't really, he didn't really have as big a presence as I thought this year. People would still like bring up like the name Jackson Mahomes and like, oh, he's gonna do this on the sideline. He's gonna act like this. But like I didn't really hear too much of him until like maybe the Super Bowl like came around, but like even then, like he kind of stayed it. I'll actually give him credit. Like he kind of stayed radio silent, at least on my end. But this whole thing, it completely blew that situation back up. And I mean, if you're Patrick Mahomes, I mean, listen, when the kid was like 19 years old, you could have been like, all right, he's a teenager, whatever. But it's at the point now he's a young adult, and I think you just have to have an honest conversation with the kid and say like, dude, get off social media, not get off social media, but just like don't like attach yourself to me like this because like you're hurting me, you're hurting my reputation now because it's no longer just becoming like, oh, this kid's like just an annoying figure on social media. Now like the crimes that you're committed, it's now the news stories are, oh, brother of Patrick Mahomes has been accused of this. Like it's not just like a little annoying thing anymore. Like this is a very serious accusation. So like that's the crazy part with everything.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's gonna hurt Pat Mahomes' reputation in the end if he doesn't tell him to, shapen up and kind of figure out his own path.
You got to tell him to grow up. He's got to tell him to grow up. I mean, like, imagine if Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, like, well, Manning obviously had to Eli, so like he actually had a brother in the NFL that was at that level. But imagine, like, actually, I'll take it for the Manning's example. Imagine if Cooper Manning had been like doing all this stuff when Peyton and Eli were going off in the NFL, and he was just like this really like rambunctious guy on the sideline, just like causing all these issues. Or if Tom Brady had like a really annoying younger brother that had never touched an NFL field, but was pumping his tires with everything he did. Like it would get annoying after a while. And I think that, for Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if it weighs on him because he's like, oh, this is family. But I think after enough time, I'd just be kind of sick of it.
I'm just surprised that like all the other guys, like you mentioned Cooper and like Tom Brady has siblings, and none of them act like that. I think it's just more like the kid was so young, like what was he, 19, 18 when
when
or
it all
when Mahomes was
started. Yeah.
drafted, maybe even 16. Like I think it was just because he was so young and he caught the fame of TikTok or whatever,
Yeah.
and then just thought that was the way he should act. So he hasn't grown up and matured.
Yeah, this is going to be a wake up call. I mean, it's going to be at this point. So we'll have to see how that all goes. But, yeah, I mean, listen, Pat Mahomes, he's doing just fine. You know, as reigning Super Bowl champ. We'll have to see how he comes back with that ankle next year. But other than that, like he's in good, he's in personally, I think, good shape. Like he's got a good team coming back around him next year. He might have D Hop as one of his targets next year. Who knows if that trade will work itself out? But uh, things are definitely looking up in KC outside of this whole issue. But Brian, I want to talk about I want to actually go over to some Boston sports now. And you know, unfortunately, things right now for the majority of Boston sports haven't been looking too good. Uh to just start it off, man, what a weekend, man. What a freaking weekend. You have the Boston Bruins who were up 3-1 on the Florida Panthers, up 3-2 in the final minute of game 7. And what was considered the best regular season team of all time, I mean, it is now sitting at home. Where do you kind of sit with all this?
Um, I watched the whole series, like
Yeah.
every minute of every game. I'm a diehard Bruins fan. Like that's my pasta jersey hanging in my room. I mean, you can't have a better season than they had and then just completely ruin it. I will say the Panthers are hot right now. They just beat the Leafs 4-2 last night. But it's really just it comes down to just, the goaltending play in the last 3 games. Swayman had a couple goals that were just absolutely atrocious in that last game. The one that went right under his arm, even the goal to win it, honestly, was an easy save. Well, not an easy save, but a routine save for most goalies in the NHL. Um, but Olmark giving up 7 goals and was a game 6, and 5 goals in game 5 is very uncharacteristic for the Bruins. And it was just such a bad week for me. I was sad.
Yeah, man, it was really defeating. I mean, I like, Brian, we played on the same varsity team for a year back in high school. And I remember the hype that like we all had when the Bruins made their cup run in 2019. We were all into it at that point. And I remember like every single game we were texting each other in group chats like about the score. Like every time like Pasternak scored or Marchand like, netted one, or when Torrey Krug had the big hit against forget the name of the Blues player, but had that big hit in game 1. Like everyone, like our group chats were like going crazy and people were like really hyped up about it. And I remember like I would always say I'm a Bruins fan. Like if I had been to games previously, I had seen, live hockey and I appreciated it, but like it never was really something that I was totally into. And then that 19 cup run really got me into hockey and really got me interested. And like I could watch outside of it just being like playoffs, or if I'm in the arena, I actually could get invested in a game. But man, I had that same kind of level going into this playoff series. And I really thought like, this is our best shot since 2019. Everyone was saying that this team would crush the 2019 team that made it to the cup and ended up falling to the Blues. And man, just like the way they fell apart. I mean, this is just the definition of a complete collapse. I mean, as a Boston sports fan, we've seen it plenty of times now with the way that the Falcons fell apart. If you want to talk about how the Yankees collapsed in 2004 to the Red Sox, this is a textbook collapse. And like, I just am so shocked by it. I mean, we looked solid, I thought, in games 1 and 2. I mean, I think that physically, or at least Florida, like, was outplaying us, but I thought we were physically tougher than them. But after that completely shifted. I mean, Hampus Lindholm was a no-show. Dmitry Orlov was solid, but inevitably he couldn't get it going. And like you said, the goaltending was atrocious. I don't know if Linus Olmark was hurt. There were rumors that he hurt himself in the final regular season game of the year. And I mean, I believe it. He didn't look like he had good lateral movement whatsoever. That was fine early on in the series, but we could tell even in game 5 when he had to go outside the net and turns the puck over. He didn't look like himself at all. And I think that's on Jim Montgomery. They should have made that change to Swayman way sooner than they did. And I know that Swayman didn't look. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I was with you. Me and my roommate, also very big Boston guy, we were talking about that nonstop. We were like, we're up 3-1. We got to put Sway in just in case, even if Omar gets hurt in that next series, you want Sway to be ready because Sway hadn't played in, what is that,
Like
two,
2
it was
weeks.
it 14 days,
It was
14 or
something like that.
21,
Yeah.
something like that.
I think it was like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Something crazy. And you can't expect someone to come in game 7, cold turkey,
No.
and play against a hot team at that point after 2 wins straight. So that was just another bad coaching point by Jim Montgomery, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what he can do.
No, I'll definitely say it was a bad move by Montgomery, but I don't know if I would have put him in like as soon as game 5 happened because like Swayman was like, I don't know, serviceable up until then. Like up until then, we had a 3-1 lead in the series. We were playing good, I thought. And I wasn't really going to put it on Swayman as to why we were losing that first game up until then. Like it was just really the rest of the team wasn't competing. But I'd say once you got to game 6, you're down in Florida and like I know that you put up 5 goals on them, but when they're putting up, 5, 6, 7 goals on you, eventually you do need to make a change there. And I know that like the 7th goal was an empty netter, so I understand that. But even in the Panthers, they knew that they had to make a change. They went to Bobrovsky, who was he's had a kind of a questionable postseason career, but in his time when he was with the Blue Jackets in 19, he was very solid. Even when he first got to Florida, was more than serviceable. I know they went to, I think it was Alex Lyon was his name, was the name of the goaltender. I know it was Lyon. I forget the first name, but they went to him because they thought that he kind of had the hot hand. Inevitably that fell short, and they went back to Bobrovsky, and not that he was remarkable in game 6, but the Bruins have, in my opinion, a better goaltending duo than either of those guys in Florida. And if you just go to Swayman in game 6, if Ullmark has given up like 3-4 goals, that you should say, all right, we're going to pull the plug. We're going to put the kid in, we'll sit you down. We know that you're the Vezina winner, but like, if you're not feeling it, we should change it up, not just like throw him out there for game 7 and like, just see what it is. Like they should have had him ready to go. I think once game 6 got a little bit kind of got as ugly as it did, I would have pulled Ullmark at that point. Once like 4 or 5 goals were scored, I would have said like, all right, we need to like change this thing up.
Yeah. I feel like with all sports, you look back at the coaching and you question it, you nitpick it. I've had times in my playing career.
Brian, I was tweeting that at the time. I was like, Ullmark needs to be pulled. When they were scoring 4 or 5 goals, I was like, they need to pull Ullmark now. He's not feeling it. And it's not a matter of him being hurt. Some nights you just don't have it.
I would also say the back check of the defense in games 5 and 6 was very bad as well. I remember, I can't remember. It's either Lindholm or Carlo turned the puck over in like right in front of the net, an easy goal, one timer for Florida. And that's when I was like, this is the turning point. Like they're going to get momentum. And just like our team just wasn't playing together as a unit, we turned the puck over all game.
Yeah.
So you can't solely blame the goalie.
No, yeah. I mean, Brian, I won't lie to you. Going into game 7, I felt horrible. After that game 6 loss, I was like, I don't know how the hell they're going to find that momentum. Cause like at that point, Florida just felt like they had it all riding at that point.
Yeah, they really did. Honestly, Tkachuk, as much as I don't like Matthew Tkachuk,
he's a dog though.
He really is. He turns it up. He turns it up in the tough times, but he also just lays the stick. And I think that was the real difference in game 5, 6, and 7. Because up until, I remember in game 7, up until, what was it, the second period, we had no momentum. Mm-hmm. Up until that Krejci one-timer, we had nothing. And I would credit that to Tkachuk and, what's that guy's name? He's got that beard. You know what I'm talking about?
I know he, Montour?
Yeah, Montour. Yeah, that's a good tandem for them on the first line. And they were just outplaying our first line all day, every day. And
yeah,
I mean,
Brandon Montour.
Just disappointing, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, in my opinion, like, I mean, a lot of people are saying it. Like, this felt like it was gonna be like the last ride. Everyone thought like this was gonna be the year they do it for Patrice, do it for Krejci. Similar kind of a vibe to 2019, in my opinion, where people thought, in my opinion, if they win it in 19, Zdeno Chara retires Boston Bruin. I don't think he comes back after that. And that's what it felt like. It was like, all right, this is going to be Chara's last run. All these guys are kind of getting up there in age. Let's go win it one last time for these guys. And that's how it felt. Like it felt like that's what it was going to be. And instead of it being Chara this time, it was Patrice Bergeron. And, everyone thought that this was going to be the last run and we were going to be able to bookend this era of Bruins hockey with the title in 2011 and then this one in 2023 if we could have made it. And it's not even like we made it to the cup final like we did in 19. And while that was like a horrible loss for us to take, like it at least like, we at least got there. To go out in the first round after the season that we had, that's just the gut punch of all gut punches. So, like, I don't know where this team goes next year. I don't know if Patrice Bergeron is going to be coming back to this team. I mean, he's an unrestricted free agent. In my opinion, I don't know if he's going to come back to playing professional hockey again. He gave a look to the crowd that was saying like, hey, this is it. So, like, I don't know if he's coming back. I think David Krejci's done. He came back from playing over in the Czech Republic. So, I think he's done too. I think he is either going to go back over there or just like say like he's done. So I don't know. Like, I think that we have a good core of guys. I mean, we locked up David Pastrnak, thank God, for the next like 8 or so years. But we have a lot of guys that we traded away for some rentals. I know Dmitry Orlov is going to be up. Tyler Bertuzzi is going to be up. So I don't know what this team's going to look like in the future.
I really hope that we can keep a couple of those pieces, especially Bertuzzi. I think he's a Boston guy, gritty. He's got like one missing tooth. He played real well all series. I'd say that was kind of the glue that we had. But I'd like to add just like the final run in 2011, that was Tim Thomas's final run, to be honest, at least as a Bruin. And that was the difference in the series was Tim Thomas. I was watching the highlights the other day, actually, popped up on my feed. And just the way he played, I think he had a 1.76 goal per game or something crazy like that. Jeez. Just the way he played, the aggression, the athleticism that he showed, and just the number of saves he let up, number of goals he let up was outstanding, and that's what makes a difference in the playoffs. As soon as we were giving up 3, 4, 5 goals a game, I knew that it was going to be a tough series.
Yeah,
and there it was.
And I mean, listen, you can't count on the goalie to stand on his head like for the entire series. Like those games are going to happen, and like not every goal is just going to go on the goalie. I mean, when you have like those 2-on-1 matchups or the 1-on-1, just like the breakaway, like you're not going to have a really good shot there. So like that's not like that. You can't put them all on Ullmark or Swayman. Like our defense did just straight up suck in this series. So like at the end of the day, like you can't like. You have to get on like the rest of the team at a certain point. So like there were just a lot of other problems with this team going down the stretch. But yeah, I don't know what it's going to look like going forward in the future. I mean, we gave up a bunch of first round picks to get these rentals, and now we don't really have anything in the next upcoming draft. So that's going to be a problem with our future. So I don't know if we try to trade a guy and get a first round pick back, what that'll look like. But yeah, it's a tough time, Brian.
I've been actually hearing rumors that they might trade Marchand for some picks. Yeah, I think that'd be a very bad move. I hope if Krejci and Bergeron were to come back, which I highly doubt, I agree with you.
I think they're done.
I think they're both probably going to hang up the skates at this point. They're both 36, 37 years old. But if they were to come back for a year, I would say that they could definitely make another run. I wouldn't think they'd have the same record as this year with the record-breaking season and all, but I think they could make a solid run. But without those two core players, as you saw, which we were missing, I may add, in game 5 and 6, it's going to be tough because we don't have a true leader. Marchand is a leader, but he's a hothead. He's not like Bergeron where he's a true captain.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing with Bergeron too is like he was hurt going into the series. He had the herniated disc in his back, which people had originally said it was an illness that was keeping him out of the first game, and then we learned that that was not the case. So I don't know what it's going to look like with him going forward. I mean, this team, I don't know, Brian. Like I, the way people made this out was that like the Bruins were about to like go full rebuild mode. I don't think that's what we're going to see. I think that they're just too good to, even like taking out Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci. Like we saw how good this team can be without them in the lineup. I don't think that, you'll be a 65-win team. Like again, like you said, like what we did this year was absolutely ridiculous. I think we just caught fire after after Bruce Cassidy left and Jim Montgomery came in. I think there was just like a high that they rode of like, hey, new coach, like we're not getting yelled at. Like, and I think they rode that for a little bit. And now we're seeing like, I think if they were to go into next year, even with everyone being back, that kind of allure would be worn off by now. So I don't know what it's going to look like. Definitely is interesting, but man, it just sucks. I mean, I remember back in 19 when we had the game against Hopedale for baseball, and we ended up losing the game. It was a tough one. I remember super close, and we all get back on the bus, and everyone's saying like, "Hey, check your phones, check your phones. Let's see how the Bruins are doing." And we were down already I think we were already down like 3-0 or something to the Blues, and we were all like, "Damn, this thing's over." We were like, "What a terrible night."
Yeah, that was a rough day for all of us,
That
I
was
would
a
say.
rough day. I mean,
Um,
you had Greenwood like mess up his ankle. You had everything just went wrong that day.
it really did.
I,
I was gonna say too, like Pat and I were texting last week about that same thing that you're talking about earlier, the 2019 Bruins.
Mhm.
And this year did feel the same way.
I
I
had that
thought we
same
were
feeling.
definitely going to the conference finals. Yeah, but
Yeah,
can only do so much.
I really had the feeling that we were going to go back to the Cup Finals, and I was going to be like riding that high the entire time. I thought we were going to be seeing. I thought I was going to get to go to another parade in Boston this summer. I thought it was at least going to be a Bruins parade. Now I got to bank on the Boston Celtics, and Brian, we'll kind of talk. We'll talk about them now. I don't feel too great about the Boston Celtics either. So, listen, game 1 against the 76ers, didn't really go our way. James Harden just looked like he was back in a Houston uniform again, basically just turned back the clock and was absolutely ridiculous in that game and just completely exposed us. So now we're going into game 2. Joel Embiid is back. So that's something we're going to have to look at. I mean, I know he still is probably dealing with some sort of an injury, but having that presence back on the court is going to be an issue for us. So, Brian, how do you feel about the Celtics as we get ready for game 2 of the series?
I just feel like our core has always been it's been always hyped up because we have Tatum, we got Brown as our two main guys, but I just feel like once we get to once we get to crunch time, like last year in the finals against the Warriors, it's too much ISO ball. The Warriors, I was watching them last night. When they get hot, and they're a 3-point shooting team. But the way they move the ball, it's just crisp. It goes all around. When you watch the Celtics, it's getting to the top. We run a nice little pick and roll, kick it once, and it's ISO ball with Tatum and Brown. And against the Sixers team, I don't think that that's going to win because honestly, they got us beat on the boards with Embiid. Embiid's just a one man wrecking crew. And then if Harden's lighting it up like he is now, I mean, I can't really see us winning this series, especially dropping game 1 when we should have won. We were up with 2 minutes left in the game by like 9 or 12 or something like that. But
yeah, that's
just my take.
That's been the problem with the Celtics all throughout the postseason, regular season. It's that they play down to competition. They just have not, for some reason, and like this is something I've been hearing on Sports Talk Radio, and it's just something you can tell from watching this team when their backs against the wall and they need to win a game. They show out and they blow out the competition. They play great when the stakes are at their highest, but when when you want to just like put a team to bed, like you had the Atlanta Hawks and back home, you had them at the Garden up 3-1 in that series. You could have put the series away and said like, hey, we're going to put you guys to bed, get an extra day's rest and actually prepare for the 76ers and maybe get a couple games with Embiid hurt. Like you had the chance to do it and you just blew that opportunity. So, now we're seeing how that's going to come back to hurt you in game 2. Embiid is at least back. I don't know about all the way healthy, but he will be playing. So I think the Celtics can make the shift. I don't know about you of saying like, oh, it's going to be just like so favored towards Philly. I think that you are a better team than them. I think you can outplay them, but defensively, you're going to have to do something. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be just letting Embiid kind of, run wild down low. There was a philosophy that back in 2019 when Kawhi was going off for the Raptors, people said like, hey, like just let Kawhi like win the game, like make him score all the points and guard all his teammates, and then say like, all right, come fourth quarter, swarm that star player, and like all his other like teammates are going to be cold. you could do something like that with Embiid and say like, hey, this guy's got to beat us. Any other player, like guard him like it's no tomorrow. I would almost do something like that with Embiid because that's the type of player he is. Like, have everyone else just be cold, and then come the fourth quarter, make him have to then pass to those guys and make plays.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I honestly think that Rob Will could guard Embiid. He's got the athleticism and he's got the physicality. I think that our problem right now is, I mean, as much as I love Al Horford, they're giving him a lot of minutes, and Al Horford's 30, bro, I don't even know, 34, 35, somewhere around there. He's getting old, and he can't really run the court with these athletic young bigs like Embiid.
No, you can't. And like, listen, Al Horford, he looked great last year. He, looks like he was like back in the prime of his career. He's taken a step back this year. I still respect him for what he can do, but like, he's not the guy he was last year here. He was just a dog for us. Like, it's not going to be like that again. So, I think Rob Will can do a good enough job defending Embiid. I know that like it's not going to be perfect, but it's the best shot I think you're going to get in this entire series. So, I don't know. You're going to need Jason Tatum to step up his game. I know that in some of the closeout games against the Hawks, he had like 19 points, was, looking real rough. You can't have those in these playoffs anymore. And listen, he's not hurt now. He can play. So like get him out there, make sure they're all competing. And like, I want to see like a really good team effort out here. I hope that they can, at least tie the series up as we get ready to head off to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I hope they can steal a game tonight. We're gonna need a big game from Smart, obviously, and then Brown
Smart.
and Tatum. And if that happens,
Yeah, go ahead.
you go.
Oh, go ahead. No, you're good.
I was gonna say, if you get a big game out of Smart, we usually win like 95% of the games that Smart goes for over like 18 points. I remember against the Hawks, we won by like 10 easy when Smart dropped 24. But last game, Smart he heated up in the fourth quarter, but for most of the game, he had 2 shots, and I was shocked because that's one of our main guys. But I think that might have been because Brogdon was taking his role. But when Smart gets hot, we play well as a unit.
Yeah, that's the problem though. Like I was listening to this stat today, and apparently like Marcus Smart, like in like the past like they gave like I forget the specifics that they mentioned, but it's like in the closeout portions of games in the playoffs recently, Marcus Smart's like shooting 20% from the field, and he's taking as many shots as Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown combined, and he's shooting 20%. So like there's an issue with him going on. They need to figure out like, listen, I think as a playmaker, he can do a good job defensively. I think he's great. I know he was the DPOY last year, but he does have a skill set, but yeah, I think you just got to work it out. Something's got to change. I would have Brogdon in closeout games going forward.
Yeah.
You
I wouldn't
there?
say that.
You got someone there, Brian?
Aiden, you want to say something about the Bruins real
quick?
What
up to the pod? The Bruins. Can I swear?
No.
Okay. We're on live radio.
I'm not too happy about it. I'm really disappointed. Like they just built up the whole season. We were ruined for them just to have it ruined, man.
Yeah.
So on your boy.
Appreciate the
it's not happy. Sacred Heart, we're not happy, man.
No, I can't imagine it. Jeez, that's tough. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that the Celtics, they're the most talented team in the East, but they're just in their own heads. That's the issue with them. So that's always been their big thing, and I think that they can work it out. But I don't know. Like they scare me sometimes. They really do, Briant.
Yeah. Like I was saying though, if we can get hot and just move the ball around, get some team chem going, like the Panthers did, I think we can really comparing apples to oranges here with hockey and basketball, but if we can get hot, Brown and Tatum and Smart starts making some better decisions and stop shooting, I guess, in the fourth quarter. I didn't even know that stat. That's crazy. But
yeah,
if he can start making some plays, kicking it to Brown and Tatum for 3, I think we're chilling. We're chilling.
Yeah, I was at a Bryant baseball game today, so I was just like had my headphones in because I was running a camera and I was like listening to some sports talk radio and I was hearing that. I was like, oh geez, that's not good to hear. But yeah, so hopefully they can get it going tonight. I think tip off is like 8:30, so we'll have to see how they do when that goes off. But yeah, so now with I kind of want to shift things over, want to talk about some MLB news. Talk about the Boston Red Sox. I'll give them credit. They aren't dead yet. They ain't dead yet. Like, they are 17-14 as of today. They're currently in the wild card race, and you know what? They're still finding ways to win games. I mean, credit to them. I thought they would be maybe not where the Oakland A's are right now, because that is a poverty franchise. That is embarrassing how they're right now. But yeah, I'll give them credit. I did not think that they would be in this situation, at this point in the season.
Yeah, me neither. I thought we were going to be sort of like a Cleveland team where we're like a little less than 500, but definitely not good. Just due to our lackluster pitching. Like, as you see, our best pitcher's Tanner Houck. He's got like a 4.5 ERA right now.
Something like that. Yeah.
Sales up in sevens. Our bullpen for a minute there was struggling. Ort with a 9. Ort's gone now, DFA'd, but and Bleer I think had a 7.5. But that was what really scared me. I knew this lineup could rake, with Devers, Verdugo, and Taka, and I knew we could rake. It was just the matter of pitching, and our bullpen's really stepped up to the plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think our bullpen's really been really good. I'll give credit to Josh Winkowski. He's looked fantastic this year. He's really turned it up a notch. For being essentially what is now going to be like the main component of the Andrew Benintendi trade, he's starting to live up to that deal. I like what he's doing, and then I'll say it too, like and Manuel Valdez, like he's starting to kind of come together. He had his first major league home run the other night. He has a really nice swing. I really like what he's turning into. If he could be our second baseman or whatever he, eventually does decide to play for us, I think that he could be really solid as well. And Alex Verdugo just turning into he's the most consistent player on the team right now. Is Mr. Walk-Off, is playing hero essentially every single night now. He's becoming, he's earning potentially that contract extension that he wants to get with this team. Like, he's really showing out this year.
He's really earning my respect. I would say you remember I was quite heated when we traded Mookie, because that was my guy, obviously, after that World Series we won.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think that you were ever going to get the value back that you had for you're never going to get that value back that you had for Mookie Betts. Unfortunately, I really am still pissed off at the way that trade went down. If you could tell me that we could reverse the trade and have Mookie Betts in Fenway tomorrow, yeah, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I'd have him back here, and I would ship Verdugo and Connor Wong and all these guys out of town. But for what you're getting right now, it's a decent enough play. I mean, Jeter Downs was a complete bust. The kid just unfortunately can't play, from what we can tell.
We saw him play.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be great. I saw him play down with the Woo Sox. I really thought he was going to be something. Apparently, he just can't play. He just can't do it. At least not in Boston. So that sucks, because he was supposed to be like the whole crux of that entire trade. Like, he was supposed to be the guy, and then Connor Wong was going to just be like a throw in. He's now looking pretty good. He had a monster game the other night. 2 home runs, was just killing it for this team. And then Verdugo, again, like, his heroics have been like off the wall. Like, he's playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Connor Wong's heating up real good here with the 4 for 4 with 2 home runs. He's definitely the hero of the day yesterday, but Dougie's really got the hot bat lately. I don't think I've seen a game in the past like 2 weeks where he hasn't had at least 1 hit.
Yeah. Now I got to figure it out. So, like, this team, as we kind of get ready, like, the offense is like being stable. Like, I mean, you even said, like, the big thing that we're going to have to improve on is our starting pitching. Cause like right now it's like, we're barely getting by with what we have. Like that, like, you can't have a 4 or 5 guy be your best pitcher going into, June, July. Like, you won't survive as a professional baseball team for like that long. Like, you can't make it. So, like, something will inevitably have to change. Chris Sale has got to get himself back in check. I know he had that 11 strikeout start a couple weeks back. So if we can see something similar to that, we might have something on our hands. But yeah, like, I don't know if this team is like still hovering around like, they're somewhat competitive around the trade deadline. Maybe you go out and you get a starter. Maybe you try to make some sort of a move and get a guy for the long haul. But, you have a lot of good young talent. Like you said, you got Tanner Houck. Brian Bayo is still kind of a work in progress. I think he can get himself together. Got Garrett Whitlock is proving that he can work in a rotation when you use him right. So this team has a lot of upside. I still see this year as a bridge year and nothing but a bridge year, but I think that we can build off this. I was very down on this team going forward, but I think that there could be a potential path with these guys.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That we really do
It's all
need some
subject
new
to change,
start
but yeah.
pitching. You can't rely on Tanner Houck's really a relief guy. We both know that when we have him in the bullpen, he's got a sub-2 ERA. He's got some nasty stuff.
Yeah. He's only in the
That
starting
slider
rotation
he
now
has
because of
is
injury.
absolutely ridiculous.
He's in the
Yeah,
rotation.
Whitlock, right?
I believe so. Yeah, Whitlock's hurt his elbow.
Yeah. I honestly, I think our pitching could be very subject to change too, especially if Sale gets back to his normal self down sub-3 ERA. We got Pavetta. Pavetta gets his stuff back, and we get Whitlock. They could be decent, but right now, we got Kluber throwing a 9 ERA and a bunch of other guys just fill-ins. So, I'm kind of excited to see where it goes because right now we're better than the Yankees already, boy. It just goes up from here.
And the payroll that they have, listen, we're paying through the nose too, but the fact that we're doing better than them, it's hilarious. So I'll take it.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I haven't been out to a game at Fenway in 2 years, so I'll be hopefully trying to get out relatively soon. I know that some people, some of my friends here are already talking about wanting to do something during senior week, so I'll do that. Maybe get out with you and Pat or something like that. So we'll find something out to do eventually, but I will be intrigued to see this team at Fenway. Last year, I was just completely just not into it with them. I was like, when they just could not compete, I was tuned out after a certain point. So hopefully they can start to bring it together and actually look solid down the stretch. So we'll look to get to a game this year. But Briant, before we do go down to the wire, I want to talk about some NFL draft coverage news because I didn't have a chance to talk about it last week. So NFL draft came and went. Bryce Young out of Alabama went to the Carolina Panthers, first overall pick, a move that people really thought, was kind of something that was set in stone from the get-go. Then you had CJ Stroud to the Houston Texans, and then your favorite football team, the Indianapolis Colts, got a new quarterback. You got Anthony Richardson as the potential future of the organization. How do you feel about that?
He's the best guy left on the board. I was talking to my dad about it because my dad's the reason I'm a Colts fan,
Sure.
And we've had some good quarterback rooms over the day. We've had Peyton Manning, we've had Phillip Rivers, and we've just brought in some old guys though that aren't very sustainable. So I like that we're bringing in a new guy. But my dad really liked the way Will Levis played in college. I personally don't watch enough college football to really dive into these guys, but my dad really liked his play style. Anthony Richardson, though, the only thing I'm nervous about is just he kind of reminds me of Malik Willis. You remember how Malik Willis played last year in the Combine? Absolutely phenomenal, arm talent off the charts, everything like that. And Liberty, I think he set records at Liberty, didn't he? 5,200 passing yards or something crazy. And you remember him last year, he ran out of the freaking end zone, dude. He ran out the back of the end zone. Yeah. So that's the only thing I'm nervous about, but I think the guy's got a lot of upside.
Yeah, you mentioned Malik Willis. That's actually going to be Will Levis's new teammate because he ended up getting drafted to the Titans. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out. I know the Patriots. You saw my reaction to it originally. They ended up drafting Christian Gonzalez, who's a cornerback out of Oregon. Seems to be a solid player. Everyone was telling me, oh, this kid's a stud. There actually was an ESPN stat saying when the Patriots picked him, there was a less than 1% chance on most mock drafts that he was going to be available. So who knows? Maybe we got a potential stud. Maybe we got, something else to add to our secondary. I know that we have Jack Jones, Marcus Jones, among Kyle Duggar and then all these other great guys. So maybe we just, maybe we're trying to build up the best secondary in the league, but I really wish that we had gone out and drafted a wide receiver and drafted one earlier than, the 6th round where we got that guy out of LSU. Maybe he's a stud. I know that they said that last year he would have been a projected top pick, but I don't know, like he's like, I wish we could have done something sooner. When we selected Gonzalez, Jackson Smith and Jigba was still on the board. I really liked him, even though I'm a Michigan fan. I saw what he did against a lot of teams, and I thought like he could really be someone for us. So I was disappointed we didn't get him. And then, I even in the third round, I thought that we could have made a selection for a kid like Jalen Hyatt. I was really high on him. I got to see what he did against Tennessee, or what he did for Tennessee against Alabama. Coming off injury, he comes back, has 5 touchdowns in that miracle game that Tennessee won over the Crimson Tide. So like, I don't know. I really liked him, and the fact that we let him get away too really just sucks. So I think that there was a lot of great receiver talent in this draft, and the Patriots, I know that traditionally we haven't drafted well at receiver, but like, I think in a draft like this, you should have at least taken a shot. And I mean, with the way that they've drafted at that position, I can understand why they'd be scared of it. I mean, the last guy that they've drafted was Tyquan Thornton. Nothing on him. He still maybe has time to prove himself. But besides that, it was N'Keal Harry, who has still never proved himself. And we'll have to see. I don't know. Like it's definitely interesting. I wish they could have done something else in this draft, other than draft a freaking kicker and trade up for one in the 4th round.
I would say your defensive back room is pretty scary over there. You guys got Jack Jones. I remember I went to a game this year actually against the Lions, and Jack Jones is a phenomenal player.
Oh,
Marcus
I think
Jones.
he's great. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, Harmon, right? Harmon.
Harmon's not on the team anymore. Duron Harmon, he's off.
Oh no, he's gone. See, I'm a Colts guy. You can't trust me with this stuff. But I remember your guys' secondary was probably the best anchoring point of your defense there, and just to like lock it up's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it could be Belichick also thinking that this guy has potential to be a receiver with all the stats he's got if he really wants to move him.
I don't think you do that as a 1st round pick. If you want to take a 4th round guy and potentially do that, like they did with Marcus Jones, I could see that. Because he was like, I think like a 4th or 5th round selection. Marcus Jones was. I could look that up. Let me take a look.
Well, they did it for Edelman. And look how Edelman panned out.
Edelman was a quarterback, though, so he was already on the offensive side of the ball.
I feel like it would be an easier transition to go from defensive back to wide receiver than it is for quarterback. Like usually quarterback's not very athletic.
Traditionally, yes, it would. Let me see. Draft. He was.
We'll see. I think that they should have definitely drafted
Marcus Jones was a 3rd
Jalen Hyatt.
Oh, I think they should have taken Hyatt.
Yeah. I was absolutely baffled that they didn't draft Hyatt, especially since he was available really late.
I agree.
Which wasn't expected at all in the draft.
Yeah, I think they should have taken Jalen Hyatt. I was really high on him. But yeah, I wish they had made that move. But I don't know. I think that, Marcus Jones, he looks like he could be a solid option that you could use both ways. I know you mentioned a 2-way player. I think that he'll be the guy that you'll see on the offensive side of the ball, if any. But yeah, I just don't think that you're doing Mac Jones any service. I think that you need to get him a legit wide receiver 1. I mean, we saw the Dolphins do it with Tua. They got him Tyreek Hill. The Bills did it by getting Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Mac Jones. Like, he's got Juju Smith-Schuster, Mike Gesicki, Hunter Henry. At the end of the day, it's
Gesicki's pretty good.
Gesicki's great, but I look at that and I'm like really? That's my reaction is like, whatever.
I mean, maybe they think they can go out and get a nice trade. I don't know. Maybe they could trade. They do have some depth at running back with Ramondre and
that's true.
Yeah, from Alabama. What's his name?
Harris. You mean Harris?
Yeah, Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they could ship away Harris and maybe a defensive back for a decent wide receiver. So maybe that's what they're doing. But you know how Bill is. I don't really think they're going to make any moves. I think they might just hunker down for a year and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think you are either. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that they're going to try to I think they just didn't like this receiver class, which I can't get. I liked a lot of guys out of this group. So maybe they they are professionals. They, in theory, do know more than I do. But from just the eye test of what I saw with Jalen Hyatt at Tennessee, I think that he should have been the guy that you wanted to take there. But we'll have to see how that all pans out. Hopefully they can do well on that side of the ball. We'll have to see how Anthony Richardson does with the Colts, if he can mature. I know that, they kind of see him as like a project quarterback to where, I mean, that's how Malik Willis was described, in your example, but I think their play styles are completely different. I think that they are very different types of quarterbacks. I know that Willis was a little bit more pass heavy. So I think that Richardson, I think his game could be something more similar to a Lamar Jackson type than Malik Willis.
I think I'd agree with that. But I'm interested to see how it plays out in Indianapolis, especially with the style that we've been playing with, which is just the power run, play action kind of pass game. Switching to a more hybrid style, maybe like the Ravens, would be just kind of interesting to see, especially since it's been power run for the past 5 years.
I think that could adapt pretty well because even with a power run, you just turn that into a couple option plays and you can, run that pretty successfully with Richardson, in my opinion. I think
a Richardson maybe more like a Bills offense.
That's true.
Bills offense, maybe.
I think you can adapt it easier than it would be. Easier than you'd think.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Anything's better than Matt Ryan last year. So
that is very true. Anything is better than that. So Brian, we'll have to see how that all pans out. But we are officially now down to the wire. We're getting close to 8:00 here in the Koffler Center. So I'm gonna do a quick little run through of what we talked about, and we'll send you guys on your way. First things first, though, if you're not falling down the wire, make sure you go follow us on Spotify. Any streaming service that you use, we're available on them. We're also on YouTube and then on Instagram at down.tothewire. Again, at down.tothewire on the IG. You've also been listening to this episode live on radio on WJMF 88.7, the beat of Briant. So, we love to shout out the station here. I don't know how many shows I'm going to have left here. I know that I'm going to be back here for grad school, but, at least as an undergrad, I don't know what this is going to look like in the future. So got a couple more shows in here and we'll see how this thing looks. So, to kind of wrap up shop, we talked about Jackson Mahomes getting arrested for sexual battery. We talked about the Boston Bruins getting knocked out of the playoffs in the first round after a historic regular season. It all comes crashing down due to the Florida Panthers. We talked about the Boston Celtics as they prepare for Game 2 against the Philadelphia 76ers. And finally, we talked about the state of the Red Sox and the New England Patriots and Indianapolis Colts NFL draft. So, Briant, I really do appreciate you for coming on. I'm glad to have you here.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Before we do close, is there anything that you wanna say, want to shout out?
No, I mean, it's just great to be back here. I'm glad you got everything going at Briant. I'm very happy for you. I went to text you congrats on everything, but
thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm happy that you're enjoying your year at Sacred Heart. Can't wait to connect with you more over the summer and maybe do this a little bit more. So I'll close it out. So from Down the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
I'm Briant Johnson.
We hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Take care. Peace out. And have a great rest of your day.